Best example of present consideration would be A went to a supermarket and purchased winter clothes at rupees 50,000 by cash. So this kind of contract is present consideration and are valid. Regarding future consideration, the example would be A promised to pay rupees 25,000 per quintal on certain crops, and those crops would be harvested in future. So on coming crops, A promised to pay rupees 25,000 per quintal is a kind of future consideration. A is the promisor and B is the promise, and the consideration is for certain future event. So this is called a future consideration to make a contract valid. The fifth element of consideration requires that consideration must be real and certain. It must not be illusory or uncertain. For example, A promise as a magician to trace certain lost treasure in his land, for which B promised to pay rupees 1,000. So here the consideration for A was rupees 1,000, and for B the consideration is the lost treasure. So as this consideration is about certain illusory things, so this consideration is not valid, so the contract is itself invalid. Another example of uncertainty of consideration is that A to sell a car to B at whatever amount B would pay to A. So here, as the amount is not certain, neither it is fixed, so this kind of consideration is uncertain, so the contract is itself invalid. The next element of consideration is consideration must be lawful or legal. For example, a smuggler reached a contract with B regarding supply of some rifles or arms and ammunition from B, and B is an unlicensed arm and ammunition supplier. So here it is completely illegal, unlawful, so it is invalid. Our next consideration would be consideration need not be adequate. So, for example, A wants to sell his house of rupees 50 lakh cost at Rs 5 lakh only. So, where the consideration is not exactly adequate, in spite of that, the consideration is valid, so the contract, here, it is valid. Our next element, which would be the last element of consideration, we would discuss in our next video.